You're not gonna come sit with me? You wanna come sit with me? Hi everyone, welcome to this video. I wanted to talk about rescuing a dog and tips and tricks and things that I've learned, as my first ever dog was a rescue and is Shay, who's literally just outside of camera view, but she might come in and out and you might hear her in the background or me having to correct her. Shay, no. Well, guess you get to look at her tail. To start, we'll talk about why I hadn't ever owned a dog and why the timing was that I got Shay and rescued Shay, and kind of what led me to want to choose her over other options that we had. I definitely rushed into the decision. Do I regret the decision? Not at all, but I did rush it. I just want to make it clear I do love her, if you haven't figured that out. Get used to lots of interruptions if you can hear her drinking water in the background. Okay, so my dad is not a big animal lover. He doesn't hate them, but he doesn't like that a dog disrupts his space, sheds, poops, pees, climbs on the table. Hi! So hopefully she's in the frame, but this is Shay. And I probably haven't formally introduced you to her. This is my sweet little rescue. I called her Moo Moo because she actually was unnamed at the shelter. We just weren't ever allowed to have dogs in the house because it would disrupt travel, things like that. It was more, you can move out and get a dog if you want a dog. So I started going to therapy for anxiety, kind of did on and off therapy for a while, but I started going seriously a couple years ago, and my anxiety was really, really bad. And my therapist essentially said, I recommend you get a dog. It would be really helpful for you. You should try and see if your dad would be willing to get a dog. So I talked to him. I'm like, please consider letting me get a dog. It would be really beneficial to me. Mom wants a dog, Miles wants a dog, you're the only one who doesn't want a dog. So he thought about it and he ended up gifting me permission to get a dog, or he granted permission for a dog to be in the house, really. But we all knew that it was going to be me who was getting the dog because I was the one who could financially pay for it. So that led us to Shay. Kind of. I actually adopted Shay 3 days after Christmas. My mom and I had already been scouring all of the rescue sites because I really wanted to rescue a dog. And we were scouring all the rescue sites for French bulldogs, actually. We got the opposite of that. And I saw her and I fell in love with her. First, like, she had no name. It was just a photo of her. She looked kind of scared in the photo, but I was in love, and we called her Moo Moo because she looked like a cow, and so I call her Moo Moo sometimes as well as a nickname. And I could go meet her 3 days after Christmas, so immediately signed up to meet her the morning of, because that's how the rescue worked. We were the first people to get the chance to meet her. It was first come, first serve, essentially, online for meeting the dog, and then someone can take the dog if they're meeting the dog after you. Anyways, so there was a lot of pressure in the situation. I was meeting two dogs. I was meeting a puppy, and I was meeting her, and we thought she was 2, but she was definitely way younger. Hold on. So that's one thing to note. Often animal shelters will really guesstimate the age, and they'll probably estimate older because most people usually want older, or, you know, not necessarily a puppy. If they're looking for a puppy, they want the younger puppy. So the kind of in-between puppies aren't always as desirable as the 2 to 3 year old range. And I had no idea, but I knew their age guesstimate wasn't going to be right. I didn't realize it was going to be so far off, but it was, because she grew a ton. She was supposed to be full grown, and she's like way bigger than when we first got her, and it's crazy. So that's one thing to know, is that your age guesstimate is probably not going to be super accurate, and it's going to be hard to know, but just be prepared for that. And the other thing is we really wanted to know if there was any house training, if she knew any commands, which she didn't really know much. Granted, she's really, really smart, so it came really quickly, but we knew she was super food motivated because I was holding the treats and she would only pay attention to me. And we knew that that was something we could work with. And she ended up being pretty much house trained already. There were a few things, but it was not horrible. And then she's pretty anxious, and she was a stray, like no previous owner, no microchip, nothing to signal that she had been previously owned necessarily, but she wasn't in the worst shape. But she didn't know what a lot of human things were. She was scared of a lot of things. She was scared of my dad's wetsuit. She was scared of the stairs. Whenever my brother would come down the stairs, she'd start barking at him. He was wearing a hood, a hat. She would freak out, especially on men. She's a lot better now, but men are still a little bit hit or miss. She either loves you or she's not your biggest fan, and you can work with her to get her to love you, but she's not the most accepting when they come in her space. Outside, out and about, it's not as big of a deal, but when you come into our house or into where her space is, she's like, who are you? Why are you here? This is mine, kind of thing. And I knew that, but we didn't end up going with my dad or my brother because they couldn't go, and we had wanted to test if there was anything with men or not. And we wanted to test how reactive the dog could potentially be. And she was walked in front of all the kennels, and she cowered away and was kind of scared of them, and she wasn't lunging at them or acting reactive in any way. Walked past multiple dogs, nothing. But little did we know that was because she was still high from the drugs they gave her for getting spayed. And we're first-time dog owners. We had no idea she was still even under the influence. They said nothing to indicate that, but we thought, oh great, like, yeah, she's scared of other dogs, we can work through that, but she's not aggressive and reactive. That's wrong. She's very reactive, especially when a dog is interested in her. She will react. It is much more if they instigate, she'll instigate right back, and she'll meet you, and she can get pretty intense. But we took her to training, and I highly recommend doing research before you rescue a dog for a good dog trainer around. Reach out to them, say you're going to be adopting a dog, you'd like to hire them to train the dog, because this is a godsend. Training Shay early was the best thing ever. I wish I had done it a little earlier, even though she didn't gain that trust with me, but I think we could have built that trust with the trainer. And I think it would have been beneficial for me to know some of the things that I didn't know. So I ended up getting her training like 3 or 4 months after getting her. And I wish I had done it sooner. But we're really focusing on her reactivity, and she's gotten to a point where she'll look at me now, and she has moments where she'll get distracted or excited about another dog, and it's hard to snap her out of it. But for the most part, she is way better. She's not at a place where I can take her to a coffee shop and she'll lay down and sit down and she'll be okay if another dog comes around, but we can go to the vet and she's fine. With the other dogs, she's just focused on me and treats. We can walk and she's mostly fine, and she's not going crazy. She used to kind of freak out and bark at dogs like 30 yards away, and now they can be pretty close, and she'll be alert, but she's not being super reactive. I gotta go check on her. The other thing is, we didn't have a crate when we got her. We didn't have food because, again, we thought we had more time to prepare. I thought I was going to meet multiple different dogs before I chose one, and of course I fell in love with the first one that I met, first one that I saw. Literally knew I just had to have her. Wouldn't let go of the idea. So we ended up getting a dog way sooner than we actually thought. We thought it would take a long time, which, by the way, for most people it takes longer than just the first go. And if you are really particular with what you want, stick to that no matter how cute the dog is. I know I'm saying that as someone who caved because my dog is so cute. But you can find the dog that you want. Maybe not perfectly, but you can find most of the characteristics that you want. So just focus on the main things that you want from a dog, like how much exercise do you want to have to give it a day, how many cuddles do you want, how active do you want it to be, what's the purpose for getting this dog, and that should help you kind of determine what breed to kind of keep your eye out for or look for when looking at animal shelters and rescues and adopting a dog. That's another thing I highly recommend. I feel like I knew a little bit about dogs, but I didn't know all that much. So going into it, we knew some of the things, but then when we adopted our second dog, which is Bentley, it was a whole different ball game with him. And you do need to realize that with any rescue dog comes trauma. The thing is, the dog will interrupt you a lot of the time because Shay is very challenging, and by that I mean she likes to challenge me and see if I'll actually follow through with rules. It may not be evident right at the start. There were a lot of things that we learned about Shay and her particular personality even a year later, and I'm still learning things about her. New things come up. She would flinch when you would pet her butt before. Now she's fine, but that led us to believe that she was either neglected or potentially abused by whoever had her, maybe left in a room because she really didn't know what the world was. Even our trainer was like, she knows nothing about the outside human world. So we just think that she was very neglected and wasn't loved properly. But each dog has their own different story, and sometimes you don't get to know the story. Sometimes the dog is surrendered for whatever reason, and you do know things about that dog, and that can make it a better fit. Oh, that's why she's freaking out. Because you're home. But the positives of having a rescue dog is they love you so much. You get to show them safety. Sorry, she's playing with my dad in the background. You get to show them what a safe space is, a safe place, safe people, and you get to watch them learn how to love and learn how to love so big. And it is amazing to watch and see and be a part of. It is really hard. It is not a walk in the park. There are things every day that are challenging, that are frustrating, and it's time consuming. It is not just, oh, okay, you're chill. Even with a chill dog like Bentley, it's time consuming because you still have to train him for all the commands you want him to know, because he doesn't know as many commands as Shay, but he's also a fast learner. So that also helps when the dog can learn quickly. But it's not just you adopt a perfect dog and all of a sudden your life is just moving on seamlessly. There are things that have to happen, things that have to change, and it's so worth it. But just know ahead of time, do you want to rescue a dog? There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot more than I feel like people talk about. And I feel like people don't talk about the challenges and the hardships of owning a rescue dog. And I've had her for almost 2 years, and we're still struggling with a lot of things. And we still have really hard days. And we still go back to the dog that I got the first day that I got her. And there's moments where that dog comes out, and it's okay. But it's hard, and it's worth it. But you should know it going into it, because we didn't. And I think it would have been helpful to know some of these things before. So I could have made a more educated decision and choice. But I still wouldn't take it back because I love her. My dad can attest that I love her very much. And she brings me a lot of joy. She does ease my anxiety and also gives me anxiety all at the same time. I hope it was helpful for you to hear some tips about rescuing a dog from me as someone who didn't know really anything, hadn't even owned a dog prior to rescuing Shay. And I definitely think the things that we learned from Shay helped us make a better decision with Bentley, with all of the cute dogs that we did meet. It was really helpful to have had the experience with Shay to lean on. So I hope that these things can be of use to you. If you are interested in rescuing a dog and adopting a dog, highly recommend it. There is no better feeling in this world. and it changes your life for the better. Like I rushed through some of that because my dad got home and then I tried to finish out the video, but I was sitting here thinking about how I felt like I didn't talk about the positives. I literally love how she gets me up every morning and I get active. I get outside. It has been so good for me, so beneficial. I literally take her for a walk. I don't go on my phone. Sometimes I take a photo of her for my Instagram story, but that's it. And I don't look at my phone. I keep it in sleep mode and I don't look at it for a half hour. And she helped me get into that practice and it has been so, so helpful. She gives the best snuggles. She was super attentive to me when I went through one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. A couple months after getting her, she would sit on my chest knowing I was really anxious. She'd lay down on me. She'd love on me. And she just knew what I was going through and what I needed. And that was so beautiful. What else? What else? What else? There are a lot of positives, but I'm trying to keep them to the most. I've wanted a dog for forever and she fulfills that lifelong dream, and I literally tell her I love her about 20 million times a day. You can ask any member of my family. They're like, I don't think she knows you love her. And I'm like, I know I say it a lot, but I mean it and I really appreciate it. She's just always excited to see me. It's always exciting to see her at the end of the day or when I'm coming back from something. The excitement that she gives is just so sweet, and she greets you as if nothing is wrong in the world, that everything is right in the world, no matter your mood, no matter how you might have snapped at her earlier in the day or whatever. She doesn't care. She's just happy to see you in that moment. And it's so, I don't know, it's just so beautiful. And I wish that I was more like that. She doesn't hold a grudge. Well, I should say she usually doesn't hold a grudge, but she does not like it when I come out smelling like Bentley. Their assimilation process is taking a while. I am setting her up to go get trained, hopefully to help that specifically, like for that. And just all of the love that you get and you receive. Dogs really are a man's best friend, and I'm so grateful to have her in my life and thankful. And it's going to be really nice to have a dog when I move, so that being alone, I don't feel like I'm as alone. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. I'm thankful you're here. Until next time.